Hello, welcome back to my book club. If you're new here, hi, my name's Hunter. I'm a therapist, and together we're reading Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents by Lindsay Gibson. And today we're reading Chapter 4, Four Types of Emotionally Immature Parents. If you're new here and haven't seen my previous videos, head over to my YouTube channel. I have a playlist titled Book Club where I cover chapters 1 through 3. And for today's video, make sure to hit like and subscribe and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Let's get started. Despite their different styles, all four types have the same underlying emotional immaturity. All tend to be self-involved, narcissistic, and emotionally unreliable. All share the common traits of egocentric, insensitive, and a limited capacity for genuine emotional intimacy. They have extreme boundary problems, either getting too involved or refusing to get involved at all. Before we explore the four types, let's take a brief moment to look at previous research of attachment behavior in babies. This research comes from the 70s from colleagues Mary Ainsworth, Sylvia Bell, and Donelda Staten. Ainsworth and her colleagues reported that more sensitive mothers had babies who showed more secure attachment behaviors in their experiments, saying, in summary, highly sensitive mothers are usually accessible to their infants, accurately interpreting their infants' perceptions and showing empathy with them. In contrast, mothers with low sensitivity are not aware of much of their infant's behavior. They often do not understand aspects of their infant's behavior, or they may distort it. They lack the understanding or empathy for their infant, often having inappropriate responses which are fragmented and poorly resolved. As we get into the four types, be aware that each type exists along a continuum from mild to severe, with varying degrees of narcissism. In severe cases, the parent may be mentally ill or physically or sexually abusive. Let's get into them. Emotional parents are run by their feelings, swinging between over-involvement and abrupt withdrawal. They treat small upsets like the end of the world and see other people as either rescuers or abandoners. Driven parents are compulsively goal-oriented and super busy. They are controlling and interfering when it comes to running their children's lives. Passive parents have a laissez-faire mindset and avoid dealing with anything upsetting. They cope by minimizing problems and acquiescing. Rejecting parents engage in a range of behaviors. They don't enjoy emotional intimacy, often issuing commands, blowing up, or isolating themselves from family life. Gibson says here, keep in mind that some parents are a blend of types, and within the following descriptions, you'll see a unifying thread. None of the types are able to consistently act in ways that would make a child feel secure about the relationship. First, the emotional parent. Emotional parents are the most infantile of the four types. It doesn't take much to upset them, which can lead to a personal meltdown. It's no wonder that everyone in their family feels like they're walking on eggshells. At the severe end of the spectrum, these parents are, quite frankly, mentally ill. They may be psychotic or bipolar, or have narcissistic or borderline personality disorder. At the milder end of the spectrum, emotional instability is the biggest issue, characterized by alternating episodes of high and low mood. Whatever their degree, these parents are governed by emotion, seeing the world in black and white terms, keeping score, holding grudges, and controlling others with emotional tactics. Many children of such parents learn to subjugate themselves to other people's wishes. We'll see that here with Brittany's story. Despite the fact that Brittany was in her 40s and living independently, her mother, Shonda, still tried to control Brittany with her emotions. Once, when Brittany was in bed sick for several days, Shonda's anxiety mounted until she called Brittany 5 times in one day. But these calls weren't for Brittany, they were for Shonda. The truth was, her primary concern was with her own feelings, not with what Brittany needed. Type 2, the driven parent. Driven parents are the type that tends to look most normal. They seem so invested in their children's success that their egocentrism is hard to see. Paradoxically, these very involved, hardworking parents often end up with unmotivated, even depressive children. You can detect the emotional immaturity in the way they make assumptions about other people, expecting everyone to want and value the same things they do. They don't experience self-doubt. Goals take precedence over the feelings of others, including their children. Driven parents usually grow up in an emotionally depriving environment. They learned to get by on their own efforts rather than expecting to be nurtured. Whether they mean to or not, driven parents make their children feel evaluated constantly. As a result, the children of driven parents always feel like they should be doing more or be doing something other than whatever they are currently doing. We'll see that here with two different examples. Although John was 21, he spent a lot of time with his parents and didn't feel any ownership of his life, saying, "I worry so much about what they expect from me. I have no idea what I want. I'm just trying to keep my parents happy and off my case." At a conscious level, his parents wanted the best for John, but they were tone deaf when it came to respecting and fostering his autonomy. Christine was an attorney with a very domineering father, Joseph, who constantly pushed her to be a success, saying, "My father controlled me. I was so afraid of making the wrong choice that I made a lot of decisions based on fear." To all outward appearances, Christine did become a success, but on the inside, she felt a tremendous insecurity, like she didn't really know what she was doing. Type 3, the passive parent. Passive parents aren't angry or pushy like the other three types, but they still have negative effects. When things get too intense, they become passive, withdraw emotionally, and hide their heads in the sand. They don't offer their children any real limits or guidance to help them navigate the world. They may love you, but they can't help you. Children wisely know not to expect or ask much from these parents. While passive parents often enjoy their children, the children sense that their parents aren't really there for them in any essential way. In fact, these parents are famous for turning a blind eye to family situations that are harmful, leaving their kids to fend for themselves. In their own upbringing, passive parents often learned to stay out of the line of fire. As adults, it doesn't occur to them that they have a mission to protect their children. In addition, these parents may leave the family if they get a chance at a happier life. Children who adored a passive parent can become adults who make excuses for other people's abandoning behavior. As children, they believed that the passive parent was truly helpless. We'll see that in Molly's story. Molly's mother was a short-tempered, physically abusive woman. Her father was a sweet, affectionate man who was usually in good spirits. Molly's safe haven was her relationship with her father. His kindness was the single bright spot and source of love in her life. It never occurred to her to expect him to protect her. For example, once when her mother flew into a rage, she heard her father banging pots around in the kitchen. She had no expectation that he should step in and stop the abuse. This is a poignant example of how emotionally deprived children try to put a positive spin on their favorite parent's behavior, no matter what. Type 4, the rejecting parent. Rejecting parents seem to have a wall around them. They don't want to spend time with their children. Their irritated demeanor teaches their children not to approach them. They summarily reject attempts to draw them into affectionate or emotional interactions. Rejecting parents are also the least empathetic of the four types. These parents rule the home, with family life revolving around their wishes. A well known example of this type is the aloof and scary father, but mothers can be rejecting too. Children of rejecting parents come to see themselves as bothers and irritants, causing them to give up easily. This can have serious ramifications later in life when, as adults, these rejected children find it hard to ask for what they need. We'll see that in Beth's story. Beth's mother, Rosa, never showed any enthusiasm about spending time with her, often criticizing Beth's appearance and acting irritated when they would spend time together. When Beth would try and call Rosa, she quickly found an excuse to give the phone off to someone else. This fits the bill with being a rejecting parent. Finally, we have our exercise, determining your parent's type. Below are characteristics of emotional immaturity common to all types that include self-preoccupation, low empathy, and disregard for boundaries, etc. I highlighted the ones that are unique to each type. Let's go through them. For the emotional parent, they often blow up or cut others off, has frightening or intimidating emotional intensity, expects his or her children to provide soothing and doesn't think about the child's needs, likes to pretend he or she doesn't run the show, and sees himself or herself as a victim. For driven parents, they have rigid values and perfectionistic expectations, goal obsessed and busy, sees his or her child as a reflection without considering what the child wants, likes to run the show, and sees themselves as a fixer. For a passive parent, they can be sporadically emotional intimate, has limited relationship repair skills, and can be thoughtful on occasion. They can be kindly and fun, but not protective, has a laissez-faire attitude, likes someone else to run the show or be the bad guy, and sees themselves as mellow and good-natured. Finally, the rejecting parent shows no empathy, has impenetrable boundaries, seems disconnected and hostile, seldom engages in communication, sees their child as a bother and doesn't want to get near them, and sees themselves as independent from others. In summary, all four types of emotionally immature parents are self-involved and insensitive and therefore emotionally unavailable to their children. None of them make their children feel emotionally seen. All are draining to be around in their own ways. Although there are four types of emotionally immature parents, their children tend to fall into just two main categories: internalizers and externalizers. In the next chapter, we'll take a look at these two different coping styles. The thing I got most out of this chapter was that little note they said at the beginning. This thread that no matter what type your parent is, you felt unsafe growing up. And that's hard to know because you'd have to be connected with your emotions, that you felt uncared for in some way. Whether your parent was emotional or rejecting or driven or laid back. That being said, although the thread is there, I think it's really helpful to know which kind your parent is, because once you know, you're able to see their behavior in a more objective way and learn how to navigate it without feeling hurt. Thank you so much for reading this chapter with me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What did you connect with in this chapter? Are you someone with emotionally immature parents? Are you a therapist who's working with people with immature parents? I would love to know. And tune in next week for chapter 5 when we talk about internalizers and externalizers. I'll see you then.